PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, the Star Wars podcast, featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Holy Snokes, 8th Star Wars podcast on the PLD Projects Network. I am your host, PLD. With me, as always, it is the hairiest co-pilot I've ever had, Matty Gunner. How are you?
I'm doing good, mate. I've just realized I've left my kettlebell, one of my kettlebells in the background, but oh well.
Hey,
that's such
people know
life.
You work out.
Mate,
people know.
People do. I'm not. We're not going to go into. This is not work. This is not holy workout. This is not
That's
holy
our,
workout.
That's a Patreon exclusive. We might.
That's paid. If we start doing that, we do like video workouts with me.
Hey, that's worth every penny. I got to tell you, my friend. Speaking of Patreon,
hey, it is worth a pretty penny because I ain't cheap.
That's right. Damn right. This is PLD Projects. If you're your first time here, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm telling you to like and subscribe before we even do anything, but that's what I'm telling you to do.
Aren't you supposed to do it within the first 30 seconds of the video?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's the thing.
We're on a journey. We have about 548 subscribers now. We are working our way towards 1,000, but I'll go for 600 first. Let's try that goal. But you can like, subscribe, leave comments, get us up in the algorithm, the almighty algorithm that we're. If you want to help even further, you find out you like us even more. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. So people, we have a great crew there. Jeff Alterman, Brandon Buckingham, Austin Goodell, those kind of great crew. If you can't totally get it, but share it, like it, all that good stuff. But
he gets it. I don't.
Fair enough.
Paul literally gets it. He gets the money.
It's true. I pay a great salary that I'll triple your salary next year. Actually, all goes back into
what's zero times 3?
It is a big whopping 0.
It's still 0. It's fine. We don't do this for the money. Yeah,
that's true. Honestly, I get a big whopping 0 too. Honestly, it always goes right back into the show.
When people start paying us, then I'm gonna really paying us.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna start rage baiting, but I'm gonna start rage baiting the other way.
Fair enough. Always, my friend. Big episode today. Although it's gonna be an interesting episode because one of us has taken a barrage vow, basically, as it were.
Vow of silence.
Vow of silence. We had big news. We had the Acolyte trailer dropped yesterday. The poster dropped the day before. Matty is staying completely blind to it until it goes up. So I will be the one breaking down the trailer. If you saw, I have a reaction up. It's posted already on the channel. You take a look at that first. If you'd like.
And I'm not talking Kane and Jareth blind, where he sees a little bit through the Force. I'm not talking Chirrut Imwe blind, where he somehow. In fact, I am Chirrut Imwe blind because I'm just. And shout out to PJ Campbell because he's gonna hear this and he'll be like, "Matty wishing he was fucking Donnie Yen again." I'm literally just gonna be walking through as everything is going on around me, and I'm just gonna sift through. It's been great because I give X a lot of shit, but I've been looking through, scrolling as normal. Everything has come up saying this post contains words you have muted.
Oh,
so I'm like, so far so good.
Right. So you say pretty good.
Everything's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we are indebted. I am going to break it down as best I can on my own. But then beyond that, of course, we have our next episode of the Bad Batch, Bad Territory. We are rounding third on the way home now. We are past the halfway point. I can't believe it's blown through. We've blown through this. It's been a fast run, I got to tell you. But a lot of fun to talk about that. Have a little bit of other news to talk about as well. I guess we should break down the Acolyte first. Do you have anything you want to say, Matty, before go silent for a little bit? Before
I take a voluntary, what's the quote from A Knight's Tale? Involuntary vow of poverty. So I got to see the trailer at Celebration. What I believe to be the trailer. The reason I am not watching the trailer is in case there is any new footage I haven't seen. Went down to overwhelming applause to the fact that even in the High Republic panel, when they played it again, it went absolutely nuts in there. I wasn't in the panel. I was walking by when it happened, and that room went bananas. I just want to know, is the internet judging an entire show based off of the first trailer for it?
What do you think? What do you think?
I want to say yes, but here's my thing. They are literally giving the other side a show that they want. Dark and gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid choreography that would never work in real life, but does look kind of cool with a lot of spinning.
It's a great track.
Jedi dying because apparently that's what they love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything that others, which is bad because a martial arts thriller involving the dark side is also like my show.
Oh yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
Lump myself in with that lot. I'm not going to.
Right.
How are they? How is like the general fan base as well as the morons?
Right.
How are they taking it?
Well, let me say real quick. It's funny you mentioned that kind of thing, like how you don't want to lump yourself in with a certain sect of fandom and everything else. And I get that too, because I believe it's more like a Venn diagram kind of thing. Because I find myself there's times that I necessarily don't. I won't say I agree with it, but I am of a like mind in some aspects, so to speak, here and there. Outside of the sexism, racism thing, whatever it is, not like anything of that, but like some things that they want, that kind of thing.
That's not fandom thing though. That's just basic human decency.
Yeah, absolutely. But I understand what you're saying. I hate like every time I have an opinion that kind of seems to fit in, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have that opinion. But it's not black and white because it's obviously not like that. Like there's a crossover angle. There's some middle points where you can go, I kind of understand. I like that as well. But it just is how you take it in. It's how you respond to it. And if you don't get what you want, how you react to it. That's one of the main things I've discovered, because a lot of times you end up being spoiled, entitled people who want what they want and everything else is like evil. It's the little epitome of Anakin being like, if you're not with me, you're against me. And that's what it is. So
I want it because I'm a lifelong martial artist and I want to see martial arts in Star Wars.
Well, one of the criticisms I didn't understand, a lot of people like, oh, it looks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon to a degree. I'm like, kind of like,
you mean the Oscar-winning film?
Right. I'm like, that's not Star Wars. I'm like, well, it's Star Wars branching out. We can't keep having the same exact thing every time. I love a play on genre. That's the best part about it. You take a play on genre, you add some Star Wars soup, and that's what you get. That's what you get. So people take these all way too seriously about some things. It's a fun piece. I think, honestly speaking, I'll say my brief thing that I'll say about the trailer, which I've heard, by the way. I did not see the Celebration trailer. You did. From what I've gathered from watching Alex and Molly and talking to Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw at Force Center, of course, we love both those shows. And if you haven't watched them and you're here, I'm impressed because we're a much lower channel than they are. But if you haven't, they're wonderful people. They also the same thing, that the beginning of the trailer was pretty much the same as what you saw in Celebration. And the second half, there's some new stuff, new added footage that got them excited and things of that nature.
I'm looking forward to seeing it when the show has.
I know you are. I will say, every time there's a new trailer coming out, I always get excited about it, and I always am like, "Is this the one that's going to bring us all back together?" Naively thinking, knowing that, quite frankly, I don't think there's going to ever again be a trailer or anything that's going to unite this fandom. It's too fractured overall, and I say that with a heavy heart. I've really come to the point where I'm like, I got to just hole up with my people. And that's not to say I'm blind to faults or anything like that. But there's a certain amount of people that still get excited for this, and there's a certain amount of people who don't. And if they don't get excited for it, that's fine. I don't mind not getting excited, but go your own way. Obviously, it's not for you anymore. And that's the thing. You still have the original trilogy. You still have the prequels if you love that. You still have Clone Wars. It's all there. And you don't like this, that's fine. But I'm sick and tired of like this. It's like this rage about how everything is doing everything. And I don't even see what the rage is about for this one. I've heard somebody say something about too much. It looks too much like the volume, like everything else. I'm like, they didn't even use the volume.
They didn't use it. They shot it in Reading, England, Scotland, and Romania. They didn't use the volume.
Right. Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
We'll move on to your analysis after this, because I've got a book to read, and you obviously want to talk about the show coming up. The great and powerful Adam Russell of Story of the Year and Thank the Maker podcast once said, if all you can do when you see this show and everything surrounding it is bash it, critique it, say negative things about it, maybe you don't love it like you thought you did.
Right.
Nostalgia can be it can be a set of rose-tinted glasses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can think that you long for this thing from your childhood, but maybe you didn't love it as much as you thought you did.
Right.
And I've had this with multiple fandoms.
Right.
With Mortal Kombat was the big one.
Mhm.
Watching the 2021 movie, I was going into it thinking, God, the main character's not Liu Kang. You know, Raiden isn't this massive, like, all seeing, all powerful god in it. Yeah, he's a god, but he's not like the Raiden. He's not the best Raiden. As shout out to like the
What the show?
AJ and What the Show. Shout out to those guys. but, but then I watched it and I loved it. I think I've seen that movie like 15 times. It was awesome.
There you
So
go.
to everyone that's like bashing and critiquing literally every show, maybe you just don't love it as much as you kid yourself and you kid your fans into saying that you do, because there are a lot of people that say, I love Star Wars, but so maybe you don't. If
Right.
all you have is critiques, literally all you have is critiques, maybe you don't love it. And if you don't love it, we know why you're talking about it, because you're rage baiting, which is rewarded by the YouTube algorithm, which gives you more ad revenue, so you make more money. Cool, make your money, make your business. That's capitalism. Do whatever you want, but don't lie to your audience, and more importantly, you're lying to yourself.
Right.
And that's just, it's sad, it's pathetic.
And I just want to add that ideally, I don't want to play in a world where I complain about things being black and white with our fandom. I don't want to like completely brush everybody aside. Like, there is definitely more subtlety and more. There's not just one side and the other. There's nuance to things. There's some people who are out there who are exactly what you're saying. They don't care about Star Wars at all. They are really just about rage baiting. They know what they're getting their clicks.
Name names, but I ain't gonna.
I don't like the. I don't. Those are the people I hate the most, because those people are just like they're ruining the fandom. All for the sake of their own money. Yes, absolutely. Then there's the people who literally loved Star Wars growing up, and it's just not for them anymore, and they're sad about not being excited about it anymore. I get that. I completely get that. And I don't want to brush you over. I don't want to invalidate your feelings. It's not going to be for everybody. That's fine. And there's some people who are on the fence. There's some people in the middle, and then there's some people on the other side, like us. There's nuance on our side. There's some people who are like, everything is awesome. Star Wars is the greatest. I love it. And I'm trying to lead towards the positive side, because I like to talk about positive side. I still get excited about Star Wars.
So, I'm going to start calling them RMBs, really miserable bastards.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to do it. RMB action. I love that.
Really miserable bastards. That's really, what that stands for.
Really miserable bastards. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, I'm going to get into the Acolyte. So you chill there for a bit.
I'm gonna read a book. I hope you don't mind. Is that okay if I read this best-selling book? Right here.
That best-selling book by famous author Ken Napzok?
It is, yeah. It is by Ken Napzok, and it is signed and named to me. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna enjoy this book.
I'll break down the Acolyte.
I'm gonna take my headphones out, and I'll see you in a bit.
All right, sounds good. You read that content. All right, let's get into the Acolyte, everybody. Before I go with the trailer up, it's not going to be a reaction to the trailer. I did the reaction yesterday. Obviously, like I said, it's on the website or on the YouTube channel already. What I'm going to do is talk about some of the things that came out. In addition to the trailer, there was an article on StarWars.com with Leslie Headland, showrunner. Star Wars Databank got filled with the characters that are in the trailer. So we're going to try to break that down. And I'm going to go through the trailer a little bit, like not bit by bit. We're going to talk about little segments of the trailer to go from there. We'll see what comes of it. First, I'll talk the information real quick. The biggest points were that Lucasfilm confirmed directors Leslie Headland for episode 1 and 2, Kogonada for episodes 3 and 7, Alex Garcia Lopez for episodes 4 and 5, and Hanel Culpepper for episodes 6 and 8. These are going to be 30 to 40 minute episodes, like the rest of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. And I will say, I can't say I'm disappointed, because I expected it now. I'm gotten to the point where I expected. I would like to see longer episodes. I like to see hour-long episodes. I don't know how the budget works and everything else. There's some reason why they're doing it 30 to 40 minutes that I'm unaware of. But I mean, that's kind of a nitpick in a way. As long as the story's good, I think it's fine. But I feel like you can do a little bit more, stretch it out a little bit more, give some more moments, some more emotional beats as we were. But it is what it is, and I think we just got to understand that is the new standard norm for now, at least until further notice. But Leslie also talked about a bunch of different things, and I want to read some quotes that were in the article that I want to just talk about, briefly touch base on. She stated, if Star Wars is about the underdog versus the institution, Star Wars is about the underdog versus the institution, and the Acolyte, the Jedi, are the institution. I was so interested in the storyline where the Jedi were at the height of their power. And I don't mean the Phantom Menace, because at that point, there's a Sith Lord of the Senate, and they're not picking up on. Like, it's a thing I've heard of, but it's not a thing you would ever consider you'd be interacting with. Quote unquote, further on, the Acolyte will have ties and references to a lot of future Star Wars eras, but will also acknowledge the past, i.e., the expanded universe, which Hedling grew up on. She commented on some of her geekier moments when putting together the show, including canonizing the species yet to be seen. There were certain things that I really wanted to do. You'll see a half-Thelan, half-human Jedi, Jecki, played by Daphne Keane, which is always a dream of mine. There's also some EU lore that I decided to put in because I thought it was so cool, and no one told me I couldn't. There are a couple of really big EU ideas that are utilized both early on in the series and later in the series. When asked about a potential season 2, Hedling confirmed that she initially pitched the series as a multi-season story, but the first season will be satisfying on its own. I would say that when I pitched it, I definitely pitched it as a multi-season show. There are a lot of things at the end of the season that I think are narrative threads that are not tied up for sure. However, I'm the type of writer that's not interested in an emotional cliffhanger. This is very incendiary, but whatever you think the Acolyte is, it's not that. It's a drop in the bucket, baby. Just hang in there and check it out. Now, the comments I have to make about this is, obviously, we're looking at a different time. This initially was supposed to be a very Sith-led show. The trailer seems like they may have shifted focus a little bit to get the Jedi more, at least like in a 50-50 range. There is concern out there. I've watched some of the streams. Some people seem concerned that they might be doing the whole the Jedi is bad, or both sides are wrong, both sides are wrong, both sides are right kind of thing. I don't feel that's necessarily the case. I feel this is going to be more of a personal story overall, and it's going to be individuals within the systems, individuals within the Jedi, individuals within maybe the Sith side of things, or at least the dark side of things. And I think that's where we're going to explore the broken pieces within the systems. And I don't think that necessarily is going to be a negative against either the Jedi or a positive for the Sith necessarily. It's just going to be explorations of what the bigger organizations can do to the little inside pieces, the littler inside pieces, the individual pieces, as it were. The Jedi are the institution at this point. It shows to me that Leslie wants us to make this a darker side story. The Jedi are the institution. It's just an interesting point of view to see that go about. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're making the Sith the heroes, the quote unquote the heroes. The dark side aren't the heroes per se, but it is from their point of view, and it is kind of turning it on its head to see a different angle than what we've been shown before. Ideas about
I can't hear you, but I totally agree with everything you're saying right now.
Fair enough, Matty. Always thank you, Matty, for having my back. So the extended universe stuff, I'm actually very excited about that. As someone, I know it's been a weird kind of line in the sand for some people. A lot of the fans have hated that they destroyed the expanded universe, or decanonized it or whatever. And then there's a lot of fans who don't want anything to do with the expanded universe. I've seen both sides of things. I'm a fan of the expanded universe. I grew up reading it. It was a dark time for Star Wars when we had nothing else. And there's a lot of good stories in there. At the same time, there's also a lot of crap in there. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of shitty stuff, both sides. So I like the fact that we can decanonize it and then cherry pick what was good and bring things that we want to be known. I think it's very important that she said she brought something in, and she was allowed to do so. No one told her no. That leads me to believe there's no definitive, you can't do this, you can't bring this weird. No, it's not destruction of it. It's more of a, let's say these things don't necessarily count, and we'll bring in what we want to do as we shape our story. We're not limited by things. It just it gets rid of the limitations. So I do like that quite a bit more. And I'm glad to see that she's choosing to pick some of that. It's interesting to see someone who is from that time frame, someone who did get into the expanded universe. Interesting to see where that story goes at this point. As far as season 2, who knows? We'll have to see how season 1 does. I think they'll probably go ahead with season 2. As long as it hits certain numbers, I don't see it failing. I think there's enough excitement about it that will get good enough numbers, but I guess we're going to find out, so we'll have to see. Let's go really quick to the Star Wars database. We had a couple characters that were thrown in there to kind of break down who they were, and we'll talk about them as we go through the trailer. We have Amanda Stenberg, who plays May, who gets swept up in a sinister mystery, one that puts her into the center of a conflict in unexpected ways. So it sounds like she is the titular Acolyte. Is that true? I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But if she is, I think the very interesting point is she dark side? Is she not? Is she someone who is just no longer a Jedi, but is caught up in things? We don't know necessarily. I feel like they're playing her off and they're teasing her as like a villain per se, potentially. But I think we can go either way. Personally, I kind of trust her. I think we're going to see that she is a good character. Li Zhang plays Master Soul, a wise, highly respected, powerful Jedi Master, strong in the ways of the Force, who is going through emotional conflict. Right there, that's another thing that makes me wonder, quite frankly, wonder what we're doing with him. He seems like he's poised to be the lead hero, so to speak. But is he going to have moments of doubt, moments he's going through emotional conflict that seems ripe for potential to, not necessarily fall to the dark side, but maybe not be completely in the light. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have kind of a bait and switch in a way as far as the hero and villain of the story goes. Not for sure. Again, we only see a little bit of the trailer, so. Manny Jacinto will play Kumir, a former smuggler who now makes his living as a trader, procuring unusual things and enjoying a life of leisure. I like that description. We always need those kind of outer forces that aren't involved in the main conflict. They always help out. This is where the Hondo Naka things come in. I would love to have been Hondo's grandpappy. It's too early for Hondo. Hondo's not even born yet, I believe, or is very, 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 very young. But we could have seen Hondo's grandpappy there. Oh, well. Carrie-Anne Moss plays Master Indara, a Jedi Master of great physical and mental skill. Okay, not much of a description. I actually think, here's my bold thought, and I think people should prepare themselves. I almost think that Carrie-Anne Moss is not long for the show. I don't think she's going to be a main character. I think she is going to be a character who is killed off pretty early. That's my guess. I just have a gut instinct that they're going to use Carrie-Anne Moss's stature as a way of when she is killed. That's going to be a big deal. It's already a big deal that Jedi are getting killed off. You have some kind of serial killer of Jedi. But if you kill off somebody of that stature, Carrie-Anne Moss sends that certain point of gravitas to it, the role, that becomes a big deal. Kind of like Sean Bean dying in Game of Thrones. It's, oh shit, this is real. This is real now. This is dark. I don't know why. It's just my gut feeling. I hope I'm wrong, because I like Carrie-Anne Moss a lot. I like to see her play through the entire season, but we'll find out. Got Dean Charles Chapman playing Master Torben, which didn't go much into that. Jonas Swatamo playing Jedi Master Kelbaka, a loner who lives a solitary life. I will say I loved Jonas. I love Jonas as Chewbacca. I was concerned about him playing a Wookiee Jedi, only in terms of if you have an actor who played a Wookiee playing a different Wookiee in Star Wars, it made me think, well, is that going to make it like Chewbacca light? Am I going to think about Chewbacca when I see the character? Like, it's almost like, are you asking Harrison Ford to play a totally different character, but he's wearing the same costume, kind of, or a similar costume, and not think of Han Solo? I know it's kind of a stretch. It's definitely alien forms, and you can change things up. And I think they did, which we'll go through the trailer when we get there. I was definitely sated a little bit, so I'm more excited now. Jodie Turner-Smith plays Mother Anastasia. I'm not sure how to pronounce that yet. Leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and preservation of their beliefs and powers. Not Night Sisters, from what one of the articles was saying. Different coven of witches. But I like to see the fact that we're branching out again. I like seeing non-Force users, or non-Jedi Force users, so to speak, and how the Jedi relate to them. That's a very interesting part of things. Let's see. Charlie Barnett plays Yord Fandar, a Jedi Knight and Guardian from the Jedi Temple. He's an overachiever and a rule follower. He needs to be by-the-book Jedi, and it can cloud his mind. I think this is the character that leads us to where we get to be in the Phantom Menace, where he lets the dogma of the Jedi Order kind of control his life and becomes a little more rigid in things, and that's where we start to go wrong, potentially, to where we are in the Phantom Menace. He is more of the Mace Windu character that lets things happen, I think, because he is a stickler for what he believes is the rule of the Jedi. We have Daphne Keene playing Jedi Master Jackie Lon, Padawan apprentice to Master Soul. Although she is young, she projects calm and conducts herself with maturity. We see that in the trailer already. Finally, Rebecca Henderson playing Vernesta Rowe, who, if you don't know, is a character from the High Republic books. She was a very young character in the books, a prodigy. It says there. She's now an elder Jedi Master who has ascended the ranks of a Jedi from a teenage prodigy to a leader in the Order. It's a great Easter eggs there, a little connective tissue, which I like to see. But let's go through the trailer now a little bit, not bit by bit per se. I'm not going to play the sound, but just looking at the stills, as it were. So right away from the beginning, we see the trailer. We open up, well, appears to be Coruscant, correct? Appears to be Coruscant. We see Master Soul talking to some younglings. I believe this is a flashback. This makes sense to me because it seems like it might be Amanda Semler's character, because we have Padawans who are, when he talks about, he quotes Obi-Wan, first of all, not quotes, he paraphrases something we've heard Obi-Wan say to Luke in episode 4. I thought that was a brilliant way to open it, first of all, because it ties in that connective tissue without being word for word. It shows you that the Jedi have been teaching the same kind of things for centuries, and Obi-Wan learned the same tropes as everybody else in the High Republic, and he's still trying to teach his way, same kind of thing. Your eyes can deceive you. You have to trust in the Force. All stuff we've heard before, but in a different way. It kind of grounds us into the Star Wars universe. I really think it's a good way to start. We have younglings saying they see light, they see balance. And the one youngling says, I see fire. This looks like a young version of Amanda Semler's character, which is what I think it is. That's why I think it's a flashback. We do see Soul in there as well, and we do see Vanessa Rowe in the background, so that's kind of cool to see. Meanwhile, we go and we see Carrie-Anne Moss's character walking into what looks like Batu. I don't know. Seems like they have a similar, if it's a village in Star Wars like that, they have these spires like that. Then we have the big first sequence with Amanda Semler's May, and it's a great fight sequence. I geeked out when I saw this. The Force push was brilliant. I'm glad we get Carrie-Anne Moss fighting. I wonder if we're going to get the Trinity kick. Who knows? Probably not. But it was a great moment in the trailer for sure. Then we jumped into the next beat. You were saying that they're killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense. Here we have a serial killer of Jedi. That's what's going on. And we see there May attacking someone again. She's starting to look like she's attacking another Jedi at this point. I'm not sure who that is necessarily, but it's interesting to see that she's going after other Jedi. Is she the killer? I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It's still too early to tell. There is our shot there. Some nice, beautiful shots there. We get a scene, and we get to see Kel Baka in his... looks like his place where he probably lives. I like the fact that he's a loner, a solo artist, so to speak. Did he make a vow, a Barasha vow? Perhaps. I don't know. He leave the Jedi Order. He kind of seems like he's retired and off on his own. A little bit sad, but there. This shot specifically did not look like Chewbacca at all to me, despite Jonas being inside of the uniform, so to speak. So that made me happy. That made me very, very happy. Next up, we see Soul. Great moment there. Not only does he force, not only is he clouding his mind and using the Force Jedi mind trick. I couldn't think of that, a Jedi mind trick, but he appears to be calming this individual down too. He goes for the older gentleman seems to be really upset about something, and he's like, "Ooh, calm down. What happened? Okay, here we go." Sense of darkness, some kind of convict, and there's the great kick that Matty was talking to me about earlier, something that was in the Celebration trailer. He has a moment where he does this great Force kick against Soul. And if you look at her eyes, she seems very shocked to see who it is, because this is May is Soul's former Padawan. So that's a very interesting note there. As they see, if they have more fight sequences like this is probably what they're talking about when it comes to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm all in. I am all in on that for sure. Next up, we see Vanessa Rowe opening the doors, the Jedi Temple. I believe someone in the Star Wars Explained chat asked, don't they have automatic doors now at the Jedi Temple at this point? They do have to use the Force to open it, or maybe it's a test for younglings. Maybe that's the reason why they have to focus the Force to be able to open doors. Maybe we'll find out. I don't know, but it's good to see her character. That's the only shot we get of Kumir in the trailer that I saw anyway. Interesting looking guy. I think that'd be cool to see. Darkness is rising for sure. That's a great shot there. More of the Carrie-Anne Moss versus May fight where she stops the knife and stops the blade. I like that moment a bit. Here we got Anasea, and her coven. Definitely interesting character. And she actually has the line of the trailer for me. It made me think this is the whole concept of the show. This is about power and who is allowed to use it. Not about good and evil, but about power and who is allowed to use it. The High Republic has always been about, there's a couple different sects of the Path the Open Hand who do not want the Jedi to use the Force or anyone to use the Force. There's definitely different Force using sectors. It's just tying over to the Acolyte, it looks like. And I think this is about what the whole concept, the power and who is allowed to use it. The Jedi institution, someone who's not in the Jedi institution, who might be a Sith or a Sith, perhaps apprentice. I almost feel like, and I'll mark this down later, I think May might be a character who left the Jedi Order, might be approached by the Sith, but perhaps she rejects it. So she's somewhere in the middle. She's not a Jedi, not a Sith. but who is allowed to use it? Did the Jedi come down on her for not being a Jedi anymore? Or is she getting turned away because she's perhaps exploring other options? I think that might be one of the focal points here, besides obviously the serial killing of the Jedi. Some great locations here. There's the fire moment. I believe that May was talking about. I think she's having a forward vision of some fiery moments. That's one in there. Great ship crashing moment, of course. I love the snow. I hope we can see lightsabers in the snow, because that's a cool thing, kind of like Jason Voorhees in the snow. I've always loved forever having the snow as a background. This is an interesting point. A lot of people have brought this up, and I too thought this. I'm definitely reminded of Octo. Get to see, it looks like May looking at some cloaked figure, and it appears to be the area right where Rey goes into the dark pit in The Last Jedi and has her vision as the kind of like the Force tree of the sequel trilogy. It does appear to be similar, not necessarily exactly the same, but I can't help but think, even if it's not the exact same place, it does look like it was shot to at least invoke that feeling. So I don't know if it's exactly the pace. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. And if it is, I think that's great connective tissue. That's great connective tissue to the sequel trilogy at this point, from somewhere way before even the Phantom Menace. I like that. I hope it's done subtly, and you don't have to really go overt about it, but just having to be in that location. Interesting thing for sure. Now, this was, of course, the big moment of the trailer for most people. The red lightsaber going on, and we get these big crew of lightsabers, and they run and they get pushed back. We go into the Acolyte. I did see some really people mentioning this in comments and everything else. One thing people didn't like about it, the idea that, well, this is going to decanonize or retcon episode 1 because the Sith haven't been around for a millennia. So how is it going to be? Everybody has to die. And I'm like, I'm kind of like, well, we knew this was the case. We knew that there's going to be a Sith that was mentioned, a Sith lead. They knew there were Jedi involved. And how can you not have any kind of confrontation between them? But let the show cook. Let the show cook. Let us see what the explanation is. I don't think they're retconning anything. I think there might be a case where maybe some of them do die, whoever see the red lightsaber. Maybe they keep it quiet for some reason. They want to start a panic. Maybe it's quite frankly that maybe Ki-Adi-Mundi and Mace Windu do believe that the Sith haven't been around for millennia. And there's a couple of Jedi who are like, well, kind of. But they kept it quiet not to cause a panic, or they decided to investigate it on their own. And I don't know. There's a lot of reasons we don't know about. Let the show cook and let us see what they say and see how it's presented before you get upset about it. Don't get upset about a retcon until it actually happens. That's something I've always been very big on. People jump to these conclusions, and it's like, why are you jumping to a conclusion yet? Yes, it's a potential interesting conversation point, but let's not get upset about it until something actually happens. You're seeing a 1:37-second teaser, not even a trailer, a teaser. A teaser just supposed to basically show you the tone of the show, which it does.
You're doing great, sweetie. Keep it up.
Thank you, Lonnie. The final last bit I will say about that particular moment is that I do think that we're going to see a show that has maybe more of the tone of Andor in terms of the dark side of things. Not as dark and not as gritty and not as grounded per se as Andor, which I love. But it has a little bit of that tone, but you still have the kind of Star Wars soup. You still have the aliens, you have lightsabers, the Force, all that kind of thing. I think it's going to be a great combination of everything. So, all right, I think that should probably do it for my breakdown of the Acolyte trailer. If you have any questions, leave them comments or below. I'll gladly answer them to the best of my ability. I'm very intrigued. I'm very, very intrigued to see what we do next. I hope we get one more trailer at some point to get more of an idea of the story. If we don't, we don't. It's not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, let me come back to that. And I'm going to get Matty back, and we'll go from there. All right. Matty's putting away his book for the audio listeners, just so you know. He's putting away the Ken Knapsack book. And here we go. He's putting on his headphones to rejoin the show.
We're back.
There you go. We're back, Matty. How was the book?
It was great. Yeah, this is my second time reading through this. It's a really good chapter that I was just reading on. Well, there's some very good chapters on here that I was reading. There was one about the death of K2SO. It was very, very intriguing. And I found out that Ken had a palm tree in his backyard when he was younger, which, having a tree in your backyard, it's something I didn't have growing up. So it must be nice.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we did it. We went through the Acolyte. Pretty much, you got everything we need to get about that.
Did you have fun?
I did have fun. with it. I can't wait now for more. And the one little bit of Acolyte news I'm going to discuss, but you can hear this before we break into the rest of the news. Is it has been confirmed that Acolyte footage will be played during the Phantom Menace re-release after the film's over.
Cool. I'll be leaving once the film's over.
Absolutely. After the feature, fans will also get a special first look at Star Wars The Acolyte series. That leads me to believe it's not just the trailer. I believe it's probably be a sizzle reel of some kind of behind-the-scenes stuff, perhaps. But that's hopefully for Regal as well, because I will stay after and I'll report back on it if it's there. So
yeah, I will be in the lobby waiting for my friends.
Fair enough.
You know what it's going to be? My friends are going to be dicks, and they're going to get like seats right in the corner. So like as I'm trying to make my way out past people, like it's going to come on and I'm going to fucking hear it. I'm just like, no.
Well, I wish you luck, and the force be with you on that. We'll go from there. All right, before we get into
I will give you guys weekly updates as to my progress.
We would like to hear that. Absolutely. Your percentage of stuff you avoided. All right. You're bobbing and weaving. I like it. All right, let's get into the rest of the news there before we break down the Bad Batch episode for the week. A few things, some bits and moments. First off,
speaking of bits, can I just give myself a pat on the back, because that, my friends, is what we call commitment to the bit.
You did very well. It's very amusing. You're very proud of yourself. I like it. All right. First bits of news we got today. George sticks by Disney. Despite some people not being happy by that. Some people saying that Disney has betrays George Lucas's vision and things of that nature. But George
is this with the proxy?
He's backing. Yes, he's backing Bob Iger. He had a statement he released stating, "Creating magic is not for amateurs. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my long-term admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. No one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same." A couple things really break down real quick about that. Obviously, Bob hit a little roadblock as far as fandom goes. During the strikes, there was some definitely negative things about it. But at the same time, he did have a very strong relationship with creators. He always had a strong relationship with creators, and he's been good about supporting creators as far as their vision goes and things of that nature. And he is not an amateur. That's the main thing. And what George Lucas had meant by that is one of the other people who are trying to take control of Disney are very much a businessmen only. Whereas Bob is a businessman. Bob is more of a he's both.
It's a little bit. Blackwell Capital, right?
I believe it is. It is.
They're for those of you who may not be like into like business and finance, and as someone who like actually trades and knows, they are a massive they're quite a considerable size hedge fund. So if you think that they're going to be better off with them having the majority of the board as opposed to Bob Iger, Disney, and George, let me tell you, you are very, very much mistaken, because while they're currently answering to do I approve of what Bob Iger has been doing lately? Absolutely not. But let me tell you, if a hedge fund like Blackwell Capital gets involved more, it's gonna be worse. Because all they will be thinking about, all their concern is money and making money, not, and as George said, making magic.
And they had no media experience. That's also part of it. They had no media, like making media experience. So while Bob Iger has definitely made some tone-deaf comments, especially during the strikes, I still believe he is overall a much better steward than someone who has no experience making media. So
better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
100%. Okay, beyond that, moving on. Brendan Wayne clarifies is what I call his next segment. Gathering a lot of news from Star Wars Newsnet, by the way. He obviously made some waves when he was talking about Mandalorian Season 4 potentially not happening or what he was going on. He made some comments. Well, he had a interview and they asked him about it specifically. And to quote, he said, "I'm glad you asked this because there's a lot of clickbait that's out there. It's like, hey, he said there's no Season 4. That's John and Dave and Bob Iger and those guys. I don't even get to walk by that room where that conversation is going on. Now, that said, and me personally, and I'm clearly not ahead of a studio, I don't know how you have the movie and then make sure there's a season 4 because Disney Plus, John and Dave with The Mandalorian, that was a foundation of that. I don't know if there's another piece that is as strong. I know for a fact there isn't because we were the most watched show again last year. That's a big deal to me. Basically, he's saying, I have no idea what's going on. I just haven't heard about a season 4. That's basically what it is. He has no idea what's going on. I'm glad he's clarifying that because some people think because he said that was the absolute truth. And the truth is, until we hear it from probably Dave or John or somebody else, then we're not going to know either one.
Sure. The overarching theme of weekly news in Star Wars for the last 6 to 12 months is we have no fucking clue what's going on. That's the overarching theme of we don't know shit.
I will say, if I have a criticism of Lucasfilm a little bit, it's they should probably get out ahead of some things. They don't have to. When there's something out there in the media, this has been around for a bit, like is there not? At least somebody should be able to come out, maybe Dave come out, and I mean, he doesn't have to, he doesn't owe us, but it'd be nice to have him come out and go, yeah, we don't know either. We're still kind of exploring the options. We'll let you know when we decide to go further. It depends on the movie or it depends on some of the stories. Right now, we're focusing on the movie. We'll let you know. So then we know if there's out there. Instead of this is like, is there or isn't there? It's probably somewhere in the middle.
And the thing is, we talk about this line of questioning, and I've got a pencil in my hand because this is how livid I am with this. It's the same fucking line of questioning every interview. What's going on with The Mandalorian? Are you happy to be in Star Wars? Are you looking forward to being in Star Wars? Do you want to be in Star Wars? Lucasfilm and Disney should have prepared responses because it's the same line of questioning. Send an email to every actor, every camera person, every first company grip, second company grip, third company grip, lighting guy, sound guy, whatever. Say, if you get asked anything about what we're doing, say this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that is coming from someone who has never worked a day of PR in his life.
It's probably not as easy as all that as you make it sound, but it's probably something they could do.
Because these journalists, let's face it, I've never worked in journalism, but I have friends who work in journalism, and I know that there are certain questions that editors will say, you need to ask this because it gives us traffic, it gives us clicks. And it's always the same line of questioning. Always the same. So just have something ready.
Absolutely.
It's called being media trained.
Fair enough.
Okay. Hey, Paul, ask me if we're playing any Morning shows this summer.
Matt, are you playing any Morning shows this summer?
They're currently in the process of booking them. We are unsure of the future as of yet.
Very clear. Very good. Nice.
Okay.
All right. Got 2 more pieces of news before I get into the Bad Batch breakdown. This is a segment I entitled Go Woke, Go Broke? ? Because
you didn't run this by me.
I didn't. This is something I'm throwing out there at you. I've been doing segments myself. I had fun
Are we sure we want to do this?
Go woke, go broke? ? Note the question mark. Just note the question mark. The news bit basically states as part of Disney's latest presentation to shareholders as they fend off activist investor Nelson Peltz, the company has revealed encouraging statistics on their biggest brands, notably saying that the Star Wars film franchise, just the film franchise, has made 2.9 times the revenue as what they've spent on it. They have made $12 billion, or they bought Star Wars for $4 billion. So the film franchise alone, $12 billion, not counting TV, not counting merchandise, not counting anything. But so where does the Go Woke, Go Broke come in? I've heard about.
I think we need to workshop this title because.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing all this stuff about people saying Go Woke, Go Broke, but yet here they are making $12 billion on their investment.
It's a good point. It's not that I'm still caught off guard by the title of the segment.
That's my question. Like I thought that I was informed by a bunch of different people. Go woke, go broke. That's what I've heard. So where's this? Apparently not. Now I will say I've heard some pushback already from people going, well, your Star Wars are always going to make money on it. Well, that's not what you're saying though. That wasn't what you're saying.
Here's the thing. I've seen comments on multiple. What trailer reaction was that I was watching for Book of Boba Fett? I was watching a trailer reaction for Book of Boba Fett, and there was the same person, I'm probably sure it was a bot, that said, under every single comment, reply to every single one, which is dedication, unless they had AI doing it.
Right.
This is a paid comment. I'm not watching the show. This is a paid comment. I'm not watching the show. Where is Lucasfilm getting all the money to be paying every person who has a YouTube account to say something nice about Star Wars?
That's a good plan. Where is my check?
They're so quick to call in people like Ola Diaz and V and you and Alex and Molly Damon shills, and like Disney apparently and Lucasfilm apparently paying everyone.
Oh, I wish.
Are you getting that check?
I wish. I have not received a check in the mail, so I'll keep looking. I keep
looking
every day.
I got 29 cents from Spotify, but I don't think that was anything to do with Star Wars.
That's fair. So I just thought that was a little funny moment I want to throw in there, and maybe I'm not usually the one that rants too much, but I figured I'd throw that out there.
Let's workshop that title because you caught me off guard with it. Let's call it "Go Woke." No joke.
No joke.
Go woke, no joke.
I'm sticking with it. Next final bit of news. Next bit of news and final bit of news, we'll talk about Rogue Squadron back on the menu, boys.
Oh, is it fuck?
Okay. There's definitely a little bit of clickbaity to these titles that have gone out there. Patty Jenkins was on a podcast. I wish I can't remember what podcast was one I usually listen to, but this is the quote, and everybody jumped to and said, "Oh my God, Rogue Squadron is back and we're ready to go." It's not, I'd say, but it is definitely more on than we had thought it was. I'll put it that way. Quote being this: when I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3, and I started working on that, we talked about, as in her and Lucasfilm, we talked about, well, maybe I'll come back to do Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3. So we did a deal for that to happen. Started a deal. When Wonder Woman 3 then went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, we got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning. So now I now owe a draft of Star Wars. We will see what happens there. They have a hard job in front of them. What's the first movie they're going to do? They have other directors who've been working, but I'm now back doing Rogue Squadron. We need to develop, get it where we're both super happy with it. End quote. So when I hear that, my initial thoughts are, okay, I feel like Patty Jenkins might be trying to will this into existence a little bit, but I don't think it's all in her head. I believe she is having ongoing conversations with Lucasfilm. I believe she is writing a draft. I believe there's a script probably going to happen. I believe she's going to present Lucasfilm with a script. I believe on Lucasfilm's end, it's more of a case of, I like the idea still. We committed to it a while back. You still want to give it a shot? Give us a script, and we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. I think it's Patty Jenkins being honest, overall honest, from her point of view. Do I mean we're going to see Rogue Squadron in the theaters anytime soon? No, I don't. Do I think it might happen? I do. I do think it might happen. It depends on when, depends on where. It depends, honestly, on how Lucasfilm reacts to the draft. And then more importantly, how Patty Jenkins reacts to their reaction. Patty Jenkins, there's been some, I don't want to be rumor mongering, so I will put this with a large grain of salt. There is rumors out there that she's had some difficulty going back and forth with some studios about things. James Gunn debunked that. I will say that as well. But perhaps she will present something, Disney won't like it, and then there'll be some kind of falling out again. Who knows? But I think as of right now, I think it is what she's saying. She has a draft she's going to write. She's going to present it, and we'll see how Lucasfilm reacts. What's your thought when you hear this talk at this point?
Okay. I'm going to say this with the greatest of respect to every stand-up comedian to have ever lived. Joseph Scrimshaw might be the funniest person on the planet because he had an analogy that had me in tears of hysterics at his analogy, that he equated it to them matching on Tinder. I want to go even further than that, because as someone who has experience, like prior experience of being on those apps, it's like they were swiping and swiping and swiping. They saw someone they thought they liked, they swiped, and then they were like, oh no, wait, let me buy Tinder Gold for a second, and so I can go back and swipe the other way. But then you feel bad that you swiped the other way for someone, so you're like, all right, let me at least say hello.
Right. Absolutely.
Let me not completely shatter this person's heart.
Right.
I don't like, you feel bad and you're like you swipe, then you're like, oh, do I really want to match with them? And then you go back and you're like, oh, I guess I'll say hello and see what happens. Like,
Right.
I'm probably not going to put much investment into this, whatever. And then I think it was Ken that said Ryan Johnson's the one that got away.
Absolutely
I
right.
was fucking, dude, that whole segment, I was fucking dying. That was some of the funniest shit I've ever heard on that podcast. And then Jen, bless Jen, I love her to death. She comes in and says, I think they are serious. I think they're gonna get married and I think they're gonna have babies. And I was just like, statistically, 90% the biggest cause of divorce is marriage.
That's very true. Very, very true. So.
That's the biggest cause of divorce in history is marriage.
Fair enough.
If anything, we do not want them to go into a marriage because it could very well end in a very messy divorce, and all of the children, get hurt, especially poor Alex Damon, who I am sure has been going through the fucking ringer with
he wants his bad. And I get it.
I want it bad.
I know.
Let her. Here's my thing. Don't do Top Gun 3. Don't do it.
Okay.
Do Rogue Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
Have Patty Jenkins write the first script, first draft, whatever. Throw it out the window. Do whatever you want with it. Then have Joseph Kosinski come in.
Okay.
And you do the Top Gun 3
in Star Wars
with not Tom Cruise,
with the hammer,
Glenn Powell.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ed Harris.
Bro, Glenn Powell
I'd love that.
Lead in a Star Wars movie.
Hey, I would love that, actually. I would love that.
Ed Harris playing some like
the Admiral, the Republic Admiral, something.
Republic Admiral.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the idea. I mean, because quite frankly, I will say, the last bit I want to say about this is my experience with Patty Jenkins. I love the original Wonder Woman. I thought that was phenomenal. I don't believe she actually wrote that script, if I'm correct on that. I did look it up. Wonder Woman 1984 had its moments, but was definitely lesser.
A little bit rapey, huh?
Little lesser than Wonder Woman itself. And Patty Jenkins was heavily involved in the writing of that, which is why I'm not sold on Patty Jenkins' writing. So that's what I'm concerned about mostly. I think she does a great job directing. I think Wonder Woman was directed very well. I think Wonder Woman 84 was even directed pretty well. I just wasn't a fan of some of the source material. So I personally have somebody else write this movie and she directed. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a one-time thing. Maybe she'll turn in the draft. It's like, holy shit, this is exactly what we want out of an X-Men movie in Star Wars. So
I thought the first Wonder Woman was pretty good.
Yeah.
The second one had some cool moments, but then certain things happened in that movie, and I looked across at my girlfriend at the time. I was like, "Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I crazy for thinking this?" And she was like, "No, this is weirding me out too." I was like, "Okay, it's not just me," because I know in the past I have been very, very critical of DC.
Right.
And I don't want that to like overshadow, like to cloud my judgment.
Right.
But yeah, I think
I mean, I would say even beyond that, it was a far more chaotic movie than Wonder Woman the original was. Kind of had some moments like, I don't know what we're necessarily doing here. Saw some fun moments as well. But all right. I think that should do it for our
but my putting the hammer point on it is I don't think so.
Okay. You don't think it's happening?
Not anytime soon.
But you think that she's telling the truth? You think that basically the idea is she's pitching, she's still writing, she's writing a draft, she's going to produce a draft.
She's writing a draft, she's going to pitch it. Does that pitch make it to Go Picture? Probably not.
I know. But that is, you know what, let me untap it for a second. I will say that's what she says in her quote. She basically says that. Like, there's it's not saying Rogue Squadron's happening. It's saying we had a deal to come back. I owe them a draft. I'm writing the draft, and they have a lot to doing. We'll see what happens. That's what it feels like.
Cool.
Yeah, you know how clickbaity titles work and how everything turns into, they're saying Rogue Squadron is being made again. No, they're not. They're saying that they're looking into it and developing it.
Okay, so she's self-aware of that. So yeah,
absolutely. Cool. All right.
Good luck to her. I hope it does get made.
Yeah, I love to see it.
I want to see it. I want to watch it. So
I'd love to see it. Absolutely.
Hey, Jenkins, good luck to you.
All right, Bad Batch time, episode 8 of the 3rd season, Bad Territory. Now, how we do things here on Holy Snokes is we break these down via segment instead of going through beat by beat. We start off with a couple of segments, we have some moments, and that's how we do it. And then at the end, we'll wrap it up. So let's get right into it because we are actually, like I said, we've had a long show so far with a lot to break down. Let's start off our first, as always, our first category in Holy Snokes our watchings and reviews. Hondo Watch 2024 at this point.
Who wants to see Hondo? Talk to me.
I love how you say it like that when we've only been on the show for like a year.
Well, we definitely did 2023. So it's 2024. It'll go until it's done.
It's seasons.
Did Hondo Ohnaka?
Oh wait, hold on. You think Hondo Watch is done when we see him? Oh no, my dear boy. No, the clock just restarts.
This restarts.
It's a whole new game.
It's been one episode since last saw Hondo. We should have a little sign up here. It's been one episode.
One episode since Ohnaka.
That's the idea. Is did Hondo Ohnaka make an appearance in this week's episode? And the answer, my friend, is another unfortunate.
This effort is no longer profitable.
How are you going to give me some bullshit praying mantis, dude, that took like 6 stun shots to put down when you could have given us Hondo? Hondo hiding in New Orleans?
I thought for sure we were getting Hondo. I thought for sure Hondo was going to be in that same bar that they met Fennec Shand in. I was like, this is perfect for him. Let's get it. Let's get it done. But unfortunately, no. We're off for another week.
Hondo in New Orleans?
That would be fucking. That's a miniseries.
Hondo walking down Boardman Street.
I gotta say, I want to say it was Ken and Joseph who said this. I do now want to see I actually have belief we could see a Hondo show the way it's done. A young Hondo show, as we're talking about.
You are playing with fire, mate.
I think it can work. Fire. I think it can work. You open up with Hondo, and I'm going to kind of bookend it with old Hondo telling a story. You know, I have so many stories, some of them true. And he goes and tells the story of his young life, and then we start looking at young Hondo growing up. I think it'd be a wonderful show. Book it, make it work. I'm all for it.
Don't give us hope. Don't you dare.
That's why they hired more animators. Anyway, so yeah, no Hondo this week, unfortunately. Had a spot for it, but no Hondo this week. All right, next segment.
What do you need, Rex? Any chance I could use you for a mission?
Mission briefing, where we used to actually go basically beat by beat to let everybody know what was going on and everything else. But we decided to shoot.
We've seen the show.
We've seen the show. We just talk about our overall view of the show before we get into the nitty gritty of things. And I will start, if you don't mind. I'll just say that this week's show was one of those shows that I think, in hindsight, I'm not going to go back to very often. This wasn't like a standout episode as far as like the overall episode goes. When it comes down to the grand scheme of things, and you put all the episodes together, this is kind of like more of a moving piece storyline. But I will say it's almost like you hear the phrase "some of its parts it's greater than the sum of its parts." I actually think the parts were greater than the sum of the episode for this one. There was a lot of amazing smaller moments in this, necessary moments, heartwarming moments, brilliant moments. But it turns out like the overall story was kind of closer to, like, say, the second episode of the season. That's another Hunter Record mission episode. It led to something and some important stuff, and it's definitely laid some groundwork for some important stuff. As we, like you said, we round third. It's interesting to note that this is the last episode the screener got. When they saw the pre-screening, they got 8 episodes. This is the last one, so now everybody else is on the same ground. They don't know what's going to happen.
We didn't get any none of those screeners.
We did not get any of those screeners, unfortunately. I
think you got to connect to the big streamers. Why haven't we got them yet?
They're watermarked. I tried my best. No one would do it for me. But either way. I think that, like I said, a lot of good stuff happened. It was more of the smaller stuff with Crosshair and Omega, which was the highlight episode of the episode for me. Getting to see Fennec Shand was brilliant.
Always good.
I loved Siler Saris. I love that character. You mentioned it before. The Slayer of Ordo Ed Eris, which is a shout out, I guess, to Fallen Order.
Wait, the Slayer of what?
Of Ordo Eris. That's what he was called, the Slayer of Ordo Eris.
I thought you said Ordo Ed Harris.
Oh, I wish.
I genuinely thought that's what you said. I was like, there is no fucking way that was his name.
No, definitely not. Ordo Eris, I looked at Wikipedia. I guess it's a space station that was in Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So a nice little Easter egg for those who follow that. There's a lot of great action beats. But like I said, most of it, the best part for me was Omega and Crosshair, but they were smaller moments. To me, it kind of reminds me that they basically put the action episode and they combine it with a little bit with the episode from last season where we had Omega and Tech had that like heartwarming, loving moment, not loving moment, but that moment in the cave.
I would say this is pretty loving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically like they got to understand each other a little bit.
Character development. Moment.
Big time character development for Tech and Omega together. I think we had that with Crosshair this week a little bit. But overall, like I said, when it comes down to the great rewatch, I'll be kind of like, okay, oh yeah, this episode is great, but it's probably a stepping stone to some of the more like big time moments at this point. What are your thoughts, Ali? What are your overall thoughts of the episode?
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I thought this episode was fucking awesome.
Okay,
and I'm going to tell you why. We got to see more of Hunter and Wrecker as a team, which we didn't get to see a whole lot of in last season. We got the three of them with Tech. And we got Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega with a little bit of Echo. Now Crosshair's back in the fold. We didn't see how they managed with just the two of us. They made it when they tried.
No.
And now you add in someone like Fennec. They're having to work with these people that they don't particularly want to work with, which is something I'm going to get back to later on in the show. Of they are having to do things that they don't necessarily want to do to get by and to survive, and that's a huge push for them because they are clones and they are conditioned to a certain way of being, a certain code, a certain morality system that we are now having to see Hunter and Wrecker, especially because we know that Wrecker will follow Hunter to the ends of any planet. We are now having to see Hunter do more morally dubious things than he necessarily wanted to. There was the whole conversation of, of how Fennec took Omega, right. And then like Hunter's having to work with someone who essentially took his daughter figure,
right?
Like he has to do that for her benefit.
Yeah.
Whereas a couple seasons ago, we were seeing them going after her because she took Omega. Now they're going to that same person,
right,
to get help for Omega, to find out some information that could potentially save Omega's life in the long run. I thought that was fascinating bit of storytelling. I love obviously the NOLA of it all. I've never been in New Orleans. It's somewhere that I really want to go to. Giant ass alligators, cool. Space alligators. And here's the thing: a lot of people are like, "Get us away from the Skywalkers." Oh, why do we always have to go back to Tatooine? Why do we always have to go back to Coruscant? Why can't we see more aliens in Star Wars? We got a praying mantis looking dude. We got space alligators. We got a new planet, and there was not a Jedi in sight.
No.
This pretty much going back to what we said about the Acolyte. It's giving us new story. Yes, it's not overwhelmingly to do with the whole story at large. But it doesn't always have to be. As Filoni says, these are stories that you tell around the campfire.
Right.
And if I'm sitting around the campfire with my friends, you don't think their story I'm going to want to tell is, hey, remember that time that we went to that planet and fought off a river full of gigantic alligators while we were working with a bounty hunter that tried to kidnap our kid?
Right. I get what you're saying. I absolutely get.
And I'm not saying that you're one of those people that's saying it, by the way. Yeah.
I know.
I have more respect for you than that.
Yeah.
But I just
I agree with everything you're saying.
It was great.
And I did love the episode overall. Like I said, I love what you're talking about, especially the stuff that you mentioned with Fennec and the Bash. I love when Fennec was kind of like poking the bear, and like it almost felt like they wanted to say something like
right.
And she was right. She was right in some ways, but also she was wrong in some ways too. Like they wanted to say, "We have her. She's fine." They can't say that because they don't want her to know that. But it was that kind of like moment where you want to shut her up, but like especially Wrecker, someone like Wrecker who has that kind of impulsivity about things. But yeah, she also pokes the bear in because she was right and everything else. Again,
it also shows that Hunter's probably going to have to do some things later on in this show that he doesn't want to do.
Maybe.
and he's going to get pushed in to do it. Like taking Crosshair back into the fold, he probably was dead set against it. Probably still is in the back of his mind somewhat.
Right.
Is that little tick that's like, I don't trust him.
Right. And that makes sense. But speaking of Crosshair, I do want to highlight them before we go into this, the more specifics of it. I loved the moments of Crosshair and Omega. Him getting his mind back together on Pabu makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that didn't just happen overnight. I'm glad that she takes him aside, doing meditation, we learned that it looks like it's not physical as far as AZ can tell. We still don't know because he didn't go into what exactly happened. There still might be.
We've been saying that from the start, right? We've been saying that it's a mental thing that he has to overcome.
Right, and that's what we think too. It's not officially confirmed necessarily, because there's some gray area where he didn't talk about what happened, and we know that Hemlock has that same kind of thing with his hand, so we don't know what necessarily it is, but we do know that AZ can't find anything. So Crosshair, even though he hates to admit it, it looks like it's something in his head, and that's something that's tough for Crosshair, a big tough guy, to really accept, and accepting meditation. But he's not fixed by the end of the episode, which I think is important. It's important that he's not fixed, but it's important that he's doing the work to get fixed. I think that's the more important thing. He's actually taking steps, and he's listening to Omega, despite him being against everything he believes, and despite everything his impulses tell him or his instincts tell him. He's going to listen to Omega and try what she does and see if he can't make that work. And it was beautiful moments. There's some beautiful meditative moments. I'm happy we got these moments. That's what makes us important.
Suck when the Empire shows up.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But now, with the meditation of it, now I'm just waiting for that moment where he's gonna take. I'm gonna save it for Force Vision. Okay. No, actually, I'm not, because I've got another thing for Force Vision. So I'm just gonna say it now. I think he's gonna get his hand back for his trick shot
at the right.
He's gonna throw it. And he's going to have a moment where he goes to take it and he stops and closes his eyes and he just breathes. And he takes a shot and he makes it.
Yeah.
If that happens, I will
go the fuck out.
Fucking batshit.
It'd be brilliant storytelling. Absolutely. I don't disagree. I think that's what we're aiming towards. I think that'd be a great moment.
Because it circles back to his beginnings, and he overcomes that adversity, that mental adversity, to make the best shot that he's got.
100%. 100%. I love that. Yeah. So a few more quick notes on it. I will say I like the fact that they were alligators kind of thing, because I was happy it wasn't one big monster. A lot of smaller monsters instead of one big monster. That's a nice little break from that anyway. But fine. The one criticism I did have on the episode was that I didn't love how dark it was. There's a lot of times I had a hard time seeing what was going on in New Orleans.
A little bit, huh?
Yeah. If in animation, it feels like they could have found a way to make it a little brighter so you could see through. I don't know if it's a way of hiding things to maybe save some budgetary things potentially. I don't know.
It's not the whole motion blur thing, is it?
I don't know what
Tom Cruise is always talking about.
I don't know. I don't really know. But I will say I just feel like they could have done a little bit more, because I definitely struggled on the Star Wars New Orleans bit to see what exactly was going on. But I did love Skylet, by the way. I love the Yamri. So the Yamri, that's what he is. He's a Yamri. That's what we saw him in a couple of things before. But seeing him in there was really, really cool. So, but we'll get into that. Let's get into our next segment there. The next segment we have is...
I was hoping for the whole squad, but you'll do.
Which is who is our favorite character of the week. Doesn't have to be a part of the crew, but can be. Let's say Matty, who was your favorite character of the week?
I'm gonna give this to Hunter.
Oh, okay, good for you.
Because
talking about
while Crosshair did start to come to terms with what's wrong with him, I actually didn't even say what's wrong with him. The mental hurdles that he has to overcome, that we all do, especially us men. Men, we're very prideful beings. As someone who, I take my pride up very seriously over everything, to a point, to a fault. But Hunter has seemed to really overcome it, to the point where now he looked and he saw Crosshair's hand tremor, but he didn't say anything to Crosshair because he respects Crosshair's pride. He respects that his ability, and that he knows how much being a sniper means to him. So he just quietly turns to Omega and he says, "Convince him to get that looked at."
Yeah. I love that moment too. It was such a great
And
moment. It said so much in a little bit, right?
and then so he's overcome that initial distrust of Crosshair. So it's like, okay, we're back together now. Whether he's got that little tick in the back of his mind, probably, who knows. But then he goes and deals with Fennec, and you see him at the start. He's very confrontational with her, like very much like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be working with you. You know, after what you did, I don't even know why we're coming to you. Just because it was Fee's idea, whatever. But then he starts working with her, and he's just kind of like, okay, we're in this together. We're all here now. We're all in the thick of it. Let's just work together and get this done. So it was. I kind of had I'm proud of you. Well done. You great job, sweetie. Yeah.
I agree. I love that too. I mean, going back real quick to the Crosshair moment, I love the fact that he knows. Like, he's the one who's butted head to the Crosshair the most. So I love the fact that he knows that he wants Crosshair to look at his hand, but he knows that he's not going to listen to Hunter for that. Well, Hunter can't say anything that'll make it work. Omega might. He knows that Omega's gotten close to them. If anyone can make him do it, it would be Omega. So I like that. That's a smart leader to do. And I loved him with Fennec as well. I love the fact that he goes there because he knows he has to. And I will also say, I love the fact that we had one of those moments where, I mean, not that there's a criticism or a nitpick or anything, but a lot of times we have the thing where Hunter goes, we're going to go on our own. And then Omega's like, no, we have to stay together. Okay, we're going to stay together. Kind of thing. That's what happens. That's what he had. Like, we're going to go alone. And she's like, no, we got to stay. And he's like, no, there's no talk. We don't need to. This is because it makes sense that she stays with Crosshair while they do this. This actually made sense.
Especially because who they're teaming up with as well. It's just kind of like,
absolutely.
I want to sit this one out.
So I'm glad to see Hunter being right for once and doing the right thing and sticking to it in a way. So I like that aspect. For me, I had a little bit of, I had a hard time. I had deciding because part of me actually wanted to go with Siler Cyrus. I was so struck by this guy. I love this character. I want to see more of him. I thought he was a fun. It was a fun character to have. He had great action beats. Took like 6 stun shots. He was a badass.
I hated when Hunter was like looking in the trapdoor and like you hear the clicking and he's like up on the ceiling and like you just have that almost like Spidey sense tingling moment with Hunter where he's like kind of not looking over his shoulder, but like he's the tracker, like he senses him there.
Well, let me tell you, you just spoiled something for me. That's my favorite action bit of the episode.
Oh, is it? Oh, I would have thought you would have gone with something else. My bad.
No, it's all good. I don't. This is what happens when we go through bit by bit. But I'll mention it now. I love that moment. As a big horror fan, that really spoke to me. It looks like an alien kind of thing or predator kind of thing. A lot of just hearing the clicks and clacks and having.
We'll go into it in the action beat, but yeah.
So I did love that. But I think at the end of the day, I got to give credit where credit's due. I'm going to go with Omega.
I would have thought you would have gone with Crosshair.
I haven't given Omega. It's funny. I realized that I haven't given Omega the full credit she's deserved. I don't think I've made her a character of the week yet, even though I really love what she's done all season long.
I'm pretty sure you have.
I might have, but I felt like I haven't given her enough credit yet. So I will say she's really, really, really stepped up this in a way that I didn't even expect this season. And her patience with Crosshair, her chemistry with Crosshair, the way she goes about things. She's such a smart character now. She really is a full crew member, an important crew member to do what she does, like, and how she does it. She doesn't even fight back with Hunter when Hunter finally says, no, you need to stay. She kind of understands. She's like, he's actually kind of right. This is my mission. My mission, your mission is to do this with Fennec. My mission is to help Crosshair out right now. And she gets a lot of things done. Again, it's not important that Crosshair was fixed this episode. That's not the important part. The fact is she got him to try. And she's getting them to work it out, so to speak. And she was some of my favorite bits of the episode. So I'm giving this one to Omega this week. So, all right. Next up, I-Spec.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
What is your favorite line of dialogue? That's what we talk about this week. I'll start off since you got Bachelor. I'm going to tell you my favorite bit of dialogue, honestly, was a touching moment for me. Sometimes a lot of times I pick comedic lines. This one I did. It was Crosshairs. I know.
Okay,
after Omega says, because Omega was talking about an adventure they had, and she goes, you missed a lot. And he just turns to her and says, I know. And it was just a heartfelt moment. It said a lot in 2 words, not almost as almost like Han Solo to Leia. Says a lot in those 2 words. But he realizes how much he has missed and the mistakes that he made, and he's missed being their brother because he's missed a lot of the adventures of the family. He understands he's back, but he can never get that time back. So he said a lot in 2 words, and I felt that moment for Crosshair. I felt bad for him for a moment, but it made me happy that they're back together. That makes sense. So that's my favorite line. So what are you this week?
Mine is also 2 Crosshair words.
Okay.
He's a man of few words, but when he speaks with intent. This, you're right. And it was after Omega said, "You don't like anything." He was like, "You're right."
True. You hate everything. Yeah, that's right.
You hate it. Yeah, it's true.
I thought he just sits there and goes, "True."
It's great.
That was a great moment too.
Because he's not fighting it now.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's Oscar the Grouch.
Absolutely. Good tone, good moments there.
Was that a right reference?
Yes, that's good. That's
reference.
Close enough.
Okay.
That's a good reference enough. All right, next up, put that on your holocron and snoke it. Explore more lore.
Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Great moment there. Put that in your holocron snook, where we take a look at the lore that's been explored this year. We want to get more into it. That'd be a comic book, another episode, book, or something like that. I'm going to say right away, I'm going to go right into it. Siler Saris, give me more. I want a mini series. I want to see a book. I want to see a limited series of comic. I want more from this character. I want to see him being the Slayer of Order Eris. There's just a lot you could do with this guy. He's a badass, horror vibe, all about I'm all
Is
about
he a Glup show?
He might be. I want to see more of this guy. I hope we get to see more of him somewhere throughout. He's just a badass, and he's a good. He hits those great moments. The action, horror, badass. I want to see. He just is one of those things that I want to see more of. That much else to say. I just said it all like that, but I want to see his background more. Let's see the Slayer of Order just in full action. So, what about you? What was your moment that you want to explore more of?
I see more Nola. More of the New Orleans planet, because that look cool. I've never been to a swamp in my life.
Okay.
I've never seen one, but they had the what they called the boats.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? The wooden
pontoons.
Boats.
I think
the pontoon boats. And she's even there. She's like 10 for that. And she just says, like, "Give me a boat that's not going to capsize this time."
Is that right?
And it just made me think of like the pontoon boats. Or are those the ones as well with the like the hovercraft?
Hovercraft.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's what they're called. I'm not very well versed in those, to be honest. But
like they just have this rickety old pontoon boat and they're just going through the bayou, like, and then alligator. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
More stuff like that. I think
more Nola Star Wars.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Next up, seen a lot of action.
A lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Well, I already said mine already, so I'll just break into a little bit there. It is the horror-filled action moment because they've led up to this character being a badass, obviously. He's laid these mines down. They've got to fight through these things. Fennec needs the Bad Batch to help her knock him down. He gets there. It's this horror-filled atmosphere, like, where is he? What's he doing? And then we see what he is. He's the Yamari. We're like, oh, you hear this clicks, and it just comes down with Hunter, like, looking in the trapdoor, not sure, and all of a sudden, what the fuck is happening? Oh my God. He turns around and then he kicks it. And then there's this axe kicking moment where he starts fighting back. He gets away from Hunter and Wrecker. Finally gets taken out eventually, but it takes him like 6-7 stun shots.
Wrecker just fucking Goldberg spears him through the wall.
Right? I'm like, this is awesome. Who is this guy? In wrestling, they call it, like, sometimes if you put up enough of a fight that even if you lose the match, you've won.
You go over.
More.
Right.
Go over, right?
Yeah.
And that was the case for me in this one because he put up quite a fight against all three of them.
He went over with the boys in the back.
I went over with the boys in the back. He's earned his due. Let's give him a push.
He doesn't have what was it? Oh God, because there's a podcast I listen to, the Hard Law podcast, where one of the dudes is in a band with Brody King.
Okay. Yeah.
And like they often like speak in wrestling talk, like wrestling terms.
Right.
What was X-Pac Heat?
Oh, X-Pac heat. Yeah, go away heat. That's what you were.
Okay.
That's the heat you don't want. That's the heat when people don't like you and they don't like when you're a heel or you're a bad guy in professional wrestling. Like The Rock was a heel back in the day, but people
Hollywood Rock, right?
That's the 2003
And
one.
Nation and Domination.
Right, back when he was corporate Rock, actually, is probably the best thing when he was in charge of the corporation. He was funny as hell. Everybody hated him as the bad guy, but loved to see him and loved to hate him. X-Pac heat was they just didn't like him and they wanted I don't want to see you. Like it's go away heat. Like so it's not even like seeing it. It's like just
Perrin has X-Pac heat.
Correct. Perrin in Star Wars terms, Perrin has X-Pac heat. Sure.
Okay. Got it.
Maybe Hemlock has good heat. Like you want to see more of what he's doing. Kind of thing, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. How about you? What is your action beat?
I had a flashback moment in this episode that was actually kind of triggering. Wrecker hits what is known as a lateral drop on Silas, where you behind them, you link your arms, you go double underhooks, and then you just throw them over your back. And there's just and it's possibly one of the most dangerous moves you can do in grappling because you risk spiking your own head on the ground behind you.
Right. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
I have had that done to me, and no bueno.
No bueno. Okay.
There's a thing called a flash knockout, which is where you're out for a second and then you just immediately come to and you're like, what the hell was that?
Right.
And just seeing this big old dude wrap his arms around Silas, throw him over like that, I was like, I feel you, buddy. That took me back. That took me back to a place I didn't want to go. But it looked. I genuinely audibly went ooh when he did it because that hurts.
Right. All right. Next up, we have, of course, Laugh It Up Fuzzball.
Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Our favorite comedy moments of the week, comedic moments of the week, and this time for me, it was Omega and Crosshair. Towards the beginning of the episode, they mentioned that Fee was on the comms, and Crosshair's like, "Who's she?" And Omega does this big thing. She's liberator of ancient wonders. Crosshair does not react at all, just stares at her blankly. Pirate. She's a pirate.
It kind of I took that as more of Crosshair's just now, really?
Exactly.
And Omega's just she's a pirate.
It's their chemistry, it's their camaraderie this season, which has just been spot on. I love that moment. It actually very reminiscent of Fee herself. Something that Fee would do. I'm an liberator of ancient wonders. And someone else would say you're a pirate. But getting to see Omega do it by herself, admitting it. It was funny. It was funny. I love that. So, what about you?
I had an honorable mention. It was a moment when Batcher walks off after Crosshair when Crosshair storms off. I thought that was pretty funny because now I went into throughout this whole show, I've been thinking, Batcher is essentially Omega's dog. Right. No, Batcher's Crosshair's dog.
Yeah. That's what it turned out to be, yeah.
Batcher is well and truly Crosshair's dog. You have Crosshair that's scratching him and patting him and Crosshair. The Batcher's Crosshair's dog. But the moment that had me just dying laughing was when Wrecker yells into the comm at Fennec, and she's just Dad, Jesus.
That was very good. Yeah. Good record moment and all this week. I love that. Crosshair. Yeah. I agree with you about Batcher, though. It's kind of funny. I expect her to be Omega's dog too, but definitely is more Crosshairs. A little bit of record during battle.
Batcher's Crosshair's dog.
Yeah. I'll go with that. I expected it to be Wrecker's dog eventually, but and Crosshair for the moment. I'll take it. And he still has good moments with Wrecker, of course, but usually in battles, Wrecker and him are close in battle as far as things go. But all right. Next up, as we start to wrap things up here, parsecs out of 11.
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Less than 12 is 11. So we really rank things on a scale of 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects. We turn it up to 11, as always. What do you rank this episode out of 11, my friend?
I guess it's a 9. I really enjoyed this episode. I had a really good time with this episode. If this was just like a standalone adventure on its own, awesome.
Okay, I'm going to give this a solid 7.5 out of 11.
Okay.
Great. I think there's moments in here which were 9.5 for sure. Definitely some great moments overall. Just the overall episode itself is it's good. It's good. It's a fine episode. Good episode. I'm not going to skip it or watch it or anything else. I'll be happy to watch it again. But as far as like it's not going to make my greatest hits album of Bad Batch episodes. That makes sense. So it's good though.
Maybe we should do that after the show's finished. Maybe that'd be what we do. We do like a
greatest hits album,
our greatest hits compilation of the Bad Batch.
Like 17 scratch or something like that of the 3.
Now that's what I call Bad Batch.
Now that's what I call Bad Batch. I was going to come with that design cover. I like it. We should do that. We should do it for all the shows, to be honest with you. Clone Wars, we need like a 3-set volume, I think, though. Something like that with seven seasons.
That would be like Queen Greatest Hits Volume 1, Volume 2.
Volume 3. Yeah. There you go. All right. Last segment of the day before we wrap things up. Force Vision.
Premonitions?
And this is where we take a look at the episode and we want to predict something that happens next year. It doesn't have to be this next episode. It could be episodes from now. It could be a different part of the universe, different part of the saga. I think the one I want to talk about, I don't know if you're the same way, at the end of the episode, obviously, Fennec, we didn't mention this before in our breakdown, Fennec hired the Bad Batch to take down Siler, and in exchange, instead of getting money, they're supposed to be getting information from Fennec regarding the M count, why the Empire wants the M count candidates. Because supposedly, I agree, say we should, and hopefully we will. But obviously, that's what the whole idea was. They want to work with Fennec because they want to figure out why the Empire wants these M count candidates. And supposedly, since there are big bounties on these people, that they figure the bounty hunters will know why the Empire wants it. Fennec does not know herself, but she says she does know somebody who will know, or who will most likely know, and she will get that information to Hunter and Wrecker in exchange for what they did with taking on Siler Saris and getting him under control. So at the end of the episode, she does not pay up to Hunter and Wrecker because she doesn't have the information, but she does say she will get the information, and she gives them a choice. Like, you can either fight me now, or you can just trust me and I'll get it back to you. I think it's important to notice that I think they choose to trust her. I don't think they really had much of a choice. But it's an important thing to say, I actually trust her. And that actually goes into my Force Vision to a degree. Because at the end of the episode, she leaves in her ship. And the first thing she does is get onto a holo conversation with somebody. And they are completely hiding this character, whoever it is. So far as they even scramble the voice. So I don't know if she has an earpiece that translates. I don't know what's going on there, but either way, it's an unknown person, and she basically says she's working with she worked with some clones. So they were asking about this. I think you can find them if you want to, kind of thing. But the big question mark is, who is she talking to? I have a list I'll throw out there, and I'll let you. Because is this your Force Vision as well?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And this is one of those times where I'm like, I don't have an inkling. I am full set on who I think it is.
Okay. I am at 99.5% sure of who it is myself as well. But I did have some things. I thought a bunch of different names went through my head, though, to think about it. Outlier number, very big outlier, the one that has the least chance to be, but would be an interesting twist. Ahsoka. Why? I don't know. Potentially.
That's a big.
It is, but you never know what she's going on. I'm saying that could be. That's my 0.01% chance, but it's there.
Can I tell you why? Can I just tell you why? The reason for this is because the Empire is hiring these class A bounty hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Empire ain't gonna hire Ahsoka. They're gonna be like, "Oh, that's Ahsoka Tano, kill her."
Correct, but she would know maybe why, because she would want her. Because of the midichlorian count, she would want to know why they're doing it. So she might have found it. I don't know, but I know it's still probably earlier on for her at this point, as far as she's still kind of chilling and everything else. So most likely not. I get it, but I want to throw it out there as like a out there own possibility. Is it Cad Bane? We know Cad Bane is out there. We know Cad Bane makes an appearance this season. Who's going to know who's a Class A bounty hunter? Now, of course, the opposite side of the thing is Fennec and Cad have not been known to get along very well. But at the same time, I kind of feel like Fennec is also the kind of person like doesn't get along with somebody at the moment, but that's business, and once it's done, it's just business again. So she needs the information. She goes to Cad Bane, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Possibly, as it were. Other ideas? Is it Darth Vader? Makes an appearance this season. Who knows? Maybe she's working for Vader. All bounty hunters go to Vader, and maybe Vader has something out there at this point. Hey, if anybody comes looking for M-class stuff, let me know about it, kind of thing. And this actually goes on, is it Vader or Hemlock? Actually, it could be either or. It could be either or, potentially. That goes along the same lines as far as I'm concerned. Maybe that's how they draw Vader, and I don't think it is. I don't think it's likely. I think it's not impossible, which is why I want to throw it out there.
Okay. So is that your 0.0000001%?
I think it's Ahsoka, Vader.
Wow, you're putting Vader before Ahsoka.
I am, actually.
You are out of your goddamn mind.
Hemlock, Cad Bane, my number one choice. Hondo Ohnaka. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He has all the kids.
Yeah, the kids. And you know what? I'll throw it in there as he's around that Vader Ahsoka line. You could go to somebody you need information. What does Hondo have? Hondo can get you information, but probably not. My 99.5% short chance is this is where we're getting Asajj Ventress. This is where we're getting Asajj Ventress.
Do continue. Do go on.
Because we have Asajj. Obviously, Asajj Ventress is making her appearance. It's now we have 7 episodes left. She has not made her great return yet, so it's got to be soon. She is a bounty hunter by trade. How she comes back, we're not sure how she came back yet, but it might be a case of she's back, and we'll figure that out later on. And it's kind of like the Cad Bane part of it. As a Class A bounty hunter, she might be the one who knows what's going on with it, and she has her Imperial contacts, things of that nature. Now, why I think it might be this.
Does she have Imperial contacts? I'm pretty sure that the Empire are the people that, killed her.
Oh, absolutely. But that's like, I mean, she was once on that side of things.
Exactly.
So she
has like a big poster.
But she has contacts. I'm sure she could talk to somebody in there that has or she's a way of figuring it out, or she works with Cad Bane, or a billion ways she could figure it out. Now, one reason specifically I think it's Asajj also is that I'm going back to the line where right before she goes on the ship, you have to trust me. You can fight me or you can trust me. And the Bad Batch choose to trust her. And I think Asajj Ventress is going to be working on their side. So I think this is kind of a red herring. Is like it looks like Fennec is betraying the Bad Batch and saying this is where you can find them. This is the tournament. Here's Hemlock. Go get them. Where in actuality, she's telling Ventress the whole episode she's been needling about where Omega is, not because she wants to find her for the bounty, but because she has respect for her and wants to protect her. She's been hired by the Kaminoans to continue, like she says in the episode, the Kaminoans have pulled the bounty because they think she'll be safer with you. So I think they're continuing to pay her, and the idea is keep her safe any way you can. So keep the Bad Batch safe at this point. So she's going to talk to Asajj Ventress and say, we need to keep her safe. Here's what I know. I think you can find them. Keep it safe. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Go find them. Go protect the girl. Go let them in on what's going on, kind of thing.
Okay.
That was my thought process. So that's what I'm thinking. It's Asajj, and I think that's where we're going from there.
Notice how I was quiet for one of the ones that you said.
Okay. Okay. Which one was that?
I didn't say a word when you mentioned Cad Bane.
Okay. Fair. That's what you think then. Okay.
I'm gonna go 100% positive that it's Cad Bane. And here's my thesis statement.
Go ahead.
Here's the pitch.
Lay it out.
The next episode is called The Harbinger.
Correct. Yep.
What do Harbingers usually bring? Death
and destruction. Yep.
Who's the only one we have seen like Hunter have real trouble, like had no business being anywhere near against? Was Cad Bane. And I think I mentioned it earlier, the Hunter learning to work with people that he doesn't want to work with. Working with Fennec, I think, is a precursor to having to work with Cad Bane. to having to be in the same room as the man who, as the bounty hunter, the Class A bounty hunter, possibly the greatest bounty hunter to ever live, almost killing him. Like Hunter nearly came this close to death because of Cad Bane. And we see in the trailer, there's the shot of like, it's almost like a reveal of like the door opens. It's very much like a old spaghetti western. Like the door opens and Cad Bane comes walking in, and he has that shadow looming behind him. So it is almost like a harbinger, a moment of harbinger of death. Now, could we see Asajj maybe show up in the episode as well? Because maybe Cad Bane is hunting these children, and she's after Cad Bane to get the children off of him. Maybe that's where my brain is going. Of could we see Asajj? Yes. Do I think that the person on the hologram was Asajj? No, I think it was Cad, because I think you hit the nail on the freaking head of bounty hunting. It's not personal.
Right.
Did I almost kill you? Yes. But it's because you were trying to get up my score. You were trying to take food off of my plate. That's not. Yes, you could see that. You could be like Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. But at the end of the day, it's just business. And if working with you gets me more credits, bounty hunters have they have a moral code, sure. But like when it comes to earning credits, they don't care who they work with.
Absolutely.
So I have a feeling it's going to be a case of they bring Cad Bane to Pabu, which is a terrifying thought in its own, of Cad Bane showing up on Pabu. And then the fact that she said they're not hard to find. If they're on Pabu and they're not hard to find, that's a terrifying thought for someone like Cad Bane to show up, because he could just be like, hey, Empire, guess where they're at? Sitting ducks, baby. They're on this island paradise with all these innocent people and all these kids that you haven't even touched yet. So could we get a case of they go in, Cad Bane shows up, Hunter's like, fuck no, I am not working with him. No way. He's forced into it to work with Cad Bane, and Cad Bane just goes, you know what? And maybe they run into Asajj, they work with Asajj to try and defeat Cad Bane. And then Cad Bane just goes, what? You know what? Fuck you. I know where you're hiding. I know where your hideout is. You want to fuck me? I'm just going to call up the people who hired me to do this job and tell them exactly where you are, because the kid that you have is more valuable to them than the ones that I'm currently trafficking.
Here's my thought process, and I love what you're saying. I do love what you're saying. I think hey, I said Cad Bane here, then so Cad Bane was my next choice. I actually think this is going to be more of a setup. Continue on what I was saying is, so next episode, I could be, of course, we could be completely wrong. We're speculating. Yeah. We're going on a little irresponsibly, but it's not where we're headed.
I don't think we are this time.
Okay. All right.
This is like invading. Yeah, I think we're being a little bit like
maybe a little bit.
Okay.
What happened? What if it's this? So we end the episode. We don't know who she's talking about. It's obviously a mystery the way they put it forth. Next episode, Cad Bane shows up with the Empire at Pabu.
Oh,
and so us as audience members go, fucking Fennec Shand. She turned them over to Cad Bane. Cad Bane's attacking Pabu. Here we go. That's where it is. All of a sudden, the end of the episode, Asajj Ventress shows up.
Shows up on Pabu.
Says, Fennec Shand told me where you guys were. Come, let's get out of here. And takes them away and kind of saves them from it, kind of thing. Maybe even get a little bit of Asajj versus Cad Bane, potentially, kind of thing. So it not being like the kind of like it sets you up to make you think that Fennec Shand did that. And they turn around and go, no, she actually helped them out in a way, kind of thing. The anti-Sid, so to speak, in a way.
Which I'm glad the way 8 episodes in and that fucking lizard rat bastard hasn't showed up yet.
Still got time.
But no, I'm fully setting my thing of like, she puts in a call to Cad. Cad comes in and is just like, oh, I did, because she just said it's a set of clones. She didn't say it's this set of clones.
Yeah.
The set of clones that he's dealt with before. She said it's a set of clones. Right. He shows up and he's just like, oh shit.
These fuckers.
These guys. And Hunter's like, no way am I working with him. Like, he almost killed me. There's not a chance in hell. Cad puts in a little bit of, They're here.
Well, I get it. I get that aspect. To me, I mean, again, it could work. It could very well work. In my mind, though, I think they're going to set up a Hunter versus Cad Bane too, which is why I think Cad Bane stays in the side.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think Asajj helping him out, getting him out, that'll lead into a later on episode with Bad Batch where you get Hunter versus Cad Bane specifically. So you get to set up Ventress as the hero at this point because they need to kind of set.
And you got to do the trilogy.
And then the trilogy, yeah.
Absolutely. You got to do the trilogy.
100% on that point. So, yeah, I guess that's our shared force vision. We'll find out who's
one
right.
more, I guess, that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
Boba.
That's an idea. I mean, we kind of have thought that Boba might make an appearance because of everything going on.
I'm not confident in that. He's probably where you're at with Ahsoka. Because then Boba could show up and be like, wait, I recognize, like, see Omega and be like, I recognize you.
Yeah.
And then we could learn a little bit more about Omega.
Right.
Through Boba, which I think would be a really cool moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a great moment. That'd be a good way to put him in there. You know what else? Someone else we haven't mentioned that I think might be down. Well, I mentioned Hondo. Well, then
don't say Obi-Wan. Please don't say Obi-Wan.
No. It's subtle, much more subtler. And actually, to be completely honest, in some ways, makes a lot of sense for Bad Batch the way because a lot of times, as fans, we predict these like grandiose kind of things, and usually something subtler happens, which is okay. What if it's Emery?
Ooh.
Like we know that Emery and her have shared some moments. There's kind of that turn, and like maybe Emery had contact with Nala Se, and the time that Emery is not around, she's kind of turned a little bit. So Fennec contacts Emery, and where Hemlock goes after it, Emery kind of plays both sides. Like they kind of look at this is where they are, but also provides a way to get them out somehow without under Hemlock's nose, potentially maybe fully turning against Hemlock at that point potentially or something. I don't know. I think I actually like that definitely better than the Ahsoka Vader aspect of it potentially. But that could be.
It keeps it contained to the story,
right?
Which I like. I like that. It keeps it contained to the story of the Bad Batch and of the clones,
and gives a little bit of payoff. Gives a little bit of payoff that we've been we kind of earned a little bit of that in the first couple episodes, where we saw Emery giving her the doll back. We saw her being showing some kind of affection for her. And
what if it's Rex? And Rex shows up. He's like, I fucking knew where these guys were the whole time.
It's Rex Echo. There you go. You know what though? Here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Going back to the Boa thing real quick. This is my old brain forgetting things. Obviously, Fennec Shand meets.
It's not going to be Django. Django's dead.
But Fennec, I know. I'm not that addled. My brain goes back to. Did Fennec and Boba, when they got together, did Fennec know Boba at that point? Had they already?
I think she probably knew of him, right?
I don't know if they actually showed any. I can't remember if Boba showed any that they had interacted before.
I don't think
not.
Because how would he have known to go get her in the middle of the desert?
Well, he's kind of combing that desert. I mean, I don't know.
He was combing the desert, so maybe he just saw her and was just like. So this is.
I just don't know if there was anything in there I just don't know if there was any kind of dialogue or anything in there that would indicate that was the first time that they had ever interacted. I don't know, so that's what I was kind of asking. So that's when I don't
have any comic that they have or anything. So
maybe.
Just
a thought process. Let us know in the comments if you know of anything that I've missed as far as canon goes. Because there's so much canon out there. Sometimes it's hard to always keep things completely 100% straight. So is there anyone else that could possibly be before we exhaust our options here?
I mean, Cody maybe.
Cody's someone we haven't heard from a bit. That's potentially
But
true.
Again, this is just spitballing. I'm fully in on it being Cad Bane. Nothing can change my mind at this point. You said cut?
Bring back cut, yeah.
Maybe. It could be cut, but I don't know why he'd be bounty hunting for the Empire.
No idea.
But then I don't know why Cody would be bounty hunting for the Empire either.
Right. It might be that maybe they're just it's someone who wanted to know where the clones were. Maybe it's not somebody who worked for the Empire.
Maybe
somebody who
you might be right. It might just be someone that Fennec's reaching out to. Who knows? But yeah, I'm set on it being Cad.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still pretty set on Ventress, although after my Emery revelation here on screen as we go,
you're going into dangerous territory now.
That's moving up the list here. That's moving up the list for me. So.
What if it's Sid?
That'd be fun too. That'd be fun to see. That'd be her way to do a redemption angle.
Oh God, that'd be my worst nightmare.
I'd love to see her.
She shows up with Bosk.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. I think that will do it for
let's get out of it before we start
Yeah.
saying something stupid like Maul's gonna come back.
It's Young Ray. No, anyway, where can the folks find you, Matty?
You can find me here. All social medias is on there. Saturday, I am also going to be over on the Lale Lule Show, which is a Metal Gear Solid podcast. We're going to be talking about a lot of happenings that have been going on there. I'm excited to be on that show. I'll be on the guest. I have a lot of raging to do over the fact that Konami have now rebooted Metal Gear Solid 3, and they're calling someone other than Hideo Kojima the creator, even though it's a direct reboot of his game, which is essentially saying like rebooting A New Hope and calling the person who created the reboot the creator instead of George Lucas. So I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on that. So be sure to go over to, I think they're on YouTube or they're on Twitch or somewhere, but yeah, that's Saturday. So come check that out.
All right. All right. You can find me at Twitter down there. You can find me, look at it, like and subscribe. Like I said earlier, got a lot of stuff going on in the podcast world on the PLD Projects Network. We have opened up a Holy Snokes audio feed specifically that we will eventually be putting the new episodes on. Right now, I'm still going day by day, uploading all the old episodes first. I'll let you know when we are live over there. Right now, we're still live on the PLD Projects feed. We can also find Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film. Me and PJ had to take some time off due to some issues with PJ. He's doing better, though. He's doing great. We're going to hopefully return next week, I believe. When we talk about the fan films, Never Hike Alone from Womp Stomp Films to complete our Friday the 13th run. I do review every other week with Lego. We're going through the V franchise, almost done with the weekly 85 series before we move on to the 2009 reboot. And of course, Crown Jewels every week. This week's episode is a greatest hit of Queen. We are doing Fat Bottom Girls. They do indeed make the rocking world go round.
Go round. Yep.
There you go with that. Next week we'll be back talking about the next episode of the Bad Batch, whatever else comes around news-wise. I think next one you said Harbinger.
Yeah.
And then I think the week after that, I think it's another two-parter. But we'll go.
I love that we get these two-parters, but at the same time, I'm like, we have so much time between shows and projects that I'm like, can we slow it down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to let it out. Although at the same time, with that being said, like the last two-parter we got was very nice to have that because it did feel like one story broken up into two parts. But
I had to wait for like 8 episodes as a child watching Rest in Peace Akira Toriyama, watching Dragon Ball Z. I had to wait like 8 episodes of fair. Goku just powering up and looking like he was straining to take a shit before he fought Frieza and before he actually turned Super Saiyan. Like, I can wait 8 episodes for a man's hair color to change. I'm perfectly fine waiting a couple weeks for another part of the story.
That is fair. That is fair. All right, guys, we will see you next week here in Holy Soaks. And of course, as always, may the force be with you always.